Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Hong Kong Techathon 2021, day 3 of the event, which is on value proposition. Today, we are happy that we have invited a guest speaker from Watami Japan Company Limited, and he is the advisory board member of the company, and he is Raymond Chan. He serves the advisory roles for Watami Japan and China Resources Bank in digital transformation and corporate strategy. To introduce Raymond, actually he is a product engineer and venture partner. But of course, he is not new to the startup community. Actually, Raymond previously co-founded 2 technology companies in the US with subsidiaries in Japan and China respectively, creating a more than 120 million valuation for the companies combined from 2007 to 2018. Earlier in his career, Raymond was part of the founding team that developed the business intelligence system for E-Trade Financials in Silicon Valley, which later on acquired by Morgan Stanley. So today, Raymond will tell you more about value proposition topic, and which is more on the startup secret, how to define, evaluate, and build your value proposition to ensure your venture that can break out and build a compelling and sustainable business. Oh, by the way, this is Nathan from the Hong Kong Science Park, and I guess some of you may have communicated with me previously in the past few days. So without further ado, may I now pass the mic to Raymond to introduce his sharing to you. So actually, Raymond is honorably invited by the City University of Hong Kong. So maybe I give a special thanks to City University. Dr. Victor Now, he is the Assistant Director of the Entrepreneurs Knowledge Transfer Office of the City University of Hong Kong. And he is responsible for entrepreneurship and innovation projects at the university. So may I now invite Raymond to the stage.
Thank you very much. This is Victor. Oh, okay, all right. First of all, thank you, Victor, for the invitations. Dr. Victor, now, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Okay.
Okay, let's start.
Okay, let's start the topic. Thank you again for Nathan for the invitation to the Science Park. So as you know, that today we are going to talk about the value propositions for the startup. I'm a tech guy. I'm an engineer, as Nathan introduced. I spend a lot of time in the engineering field. So tech guy has a problem. Is we talk long, we talk forever, and the another topic is we suck in talking. So we talk long and it sucks. So it's really bad combinations. So that's why today try to control myself and also Victor, who is a tech guy.
Also a tech guy.
Talk sucks. Is we divided it today 30 minutes into 3 different sections. So you know that if we talk sucks, it's only 3 sections. So you know what to expect, like how much more time that you will have to stuck with us. All right. So today we divided into 3 sections that we mentioned. First of all, we will talk about how to define your new business, your startup idea. And then later on, we will spend another 10-15 minutes to talk about how you can evaluate your business later on. And then at the very end, since this section is for new entrepreneurs, for student startups, so we will treat the last one as a bonus part, is teaching you how to build your business after you evaluate. And potentially, we will spend a little bit more time on how you can get funding for your business as well as a little bonus for yourself. So this is today's schedule that we will stick with in that. Okay. So for every business, how we are going to start is every business should start with a why. Why are you doing this? The second thing you need to think about is how you are doing the why. And then the third thing is about, so what would be the outcome after you do that and changing the world? So why many people started the other way around, and that's very wrong, because you're doing something that you think is great, but nobody else thinks it is great, right? Only you think it's great, right? So you have to start with a why, with a purpose of why you are doing the things. For example, you have to find a problem that you have to solve. Victor, you feel free to jump into
I will.
Right? and so we will start with a why today. But many people that talk to me and say, hey, Raymond, but how to find a why? How we can find a problem that we really need to solve, right? What's the tricks and things like this, right? So the first thing, we can still see this slide, right? Okay. Is to look about trends. Maybe what is a trend? A trend is things that is moving. How to things moving around in this in what directions. You have to have the instinct to learn how to trend to be successful. Okay. How the trend is being formed, there is usually something, a new trend is formed and you can find opportunity, something because there is a change happening. What is a change? Change can be the environment change, right? You have to be very sensitive to the change in your environment. It can be a change in the new technologies available. For example, 30 years ago, there is a new technology called internet. And then because of the internet is a new technology, people able to connect it with the world through a digital format. So there's a lot of new business come up like Amazon's, right? Like Facebook, this kind of new industry. So there is change, and change usually related to technology trend.
I think we can make it simple. Take COVID-19 as an example. COVID-19 is a kind of changes. We have a kind of face-to-face, class meeting, but nowadays we are talking Zoom meeting. We are talking about online education. So for example.
Yeah, COVID-19 is, as Dr. Lau mentioned, is what is changing the world right now. So things are changing.
But with COVID-19, we need technology to achieve what we used to have before.
Right. Yeah. So how do you find the change? I keep using that. There's one thing you need to do is to read a lot. You have to have enough knowledge of many different things. So when you're able to see the change, you will be able to, as Steve Jobs said, connecting the dots. Steve Jobs once said in a Stanford event in the graduation ceremony, very, very famous. He said, life is unexpected, but there's many, many dots along your life. When you look back, all the dots, will be connected with each other. That is one of his most famous quotes, right? So by reading a lot, which sometimes maybe you can be watching a lot too these days because you have YouTube, right? So you have a lot of way to read, to gain the knowledge of things. You'll be able to see how a lot of dots together. And then you'll be able to connect it and be there. This is not just about startup, but I would like to ask, anyone know who he is? Oops. This guy. Okay.
Yes.
You know who this is, right? So Messi, one of his favorite, why Messi is a great player. He said, to be a great player, I'm not playing with my mind, but I'm playing with my instincts. What is an instinct? Why Messi is an instinct, right? Messi always, you see Messi playing, right? Messi is always in the positions that where the ball will be a couple of seconds later, but not at where the ball is today. He can read the whole game. So he will be prepared to be at the positions before the ball is there. He knows that where the ball will be, so he'll be there. So the ball actually go to him instead of he going to the ball. That's his instinct. And how he found his instinct is by experience. He has seen a lot. He has been playing games, practice and practice. So he knows in these situations, the ball will be in here. The same thing applies to a successful startup to get the idea too, is your instinct. By reading a lot, oh, I have seen COVID-19, I've seen the new technologies coming up, like blockchain technology is coming up, is creating value on the internet, or the 5G is coming up, so the world can be connected with no time lagging, right? Or there is like data security, new technology, so things will be more secure in a cheaper format. Cloud technologies making server available and things like this. And then, so you will be able to imagine where the thought would be. And so you can be there before anyone else and be prepared building your business. This is how you can find your why in the instant. Dr. Lau, you have anything to add at this moment?
So far it's good. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. How are you doing in time so far? Okay.
10 minutes around.
Right.
10
minutes around.
We are 20 minutes. We have.
All right. So this is, unfortunately, we are remote, so there is no questions that we can interact with each other, but it would be nice. If there is questions, you can type on the board and then we can discuss further.
So just follow up with Raymond. So you have you read a lot. You have a lot of input in your brain. So now we go to how you deploy it and how to make it happen.
Right. Yeah. So okay, say you have an idea. Oh,
to do it.
There's things happen. So how you're going to evaluate your ideas, right? Before you jump into that, there is a circle. We call it build, review, and evaluate. Build means we in the review, we are getting data. So we first build, we call the MVP. MVP means it's like you're using the most minimal effort and cost to build something. So you are able to put it into the market and receiving data, which means most likely feedback. How you can get feedback from the people. So you will be able to evaluate your idea and making decisions. Decisions as in like, how are you going to stick with your ideas? Or are you going to pivot your ideas? Perfect means, it doesn't work. And then so I have to change the other way around and do things. This is very important. I would like all the students to remember when you start your startup. A lot of people start without doing this. It is very common. You will be stuck in the mindset that, oh, I have to build the best products. And so get things really ready to get things done. It is so wrong. Because 99% of the startup their first vision idea and their end product is going to be different. For example, I give you a couple. When they first started their business, if you go to YouTube to search for Airbnb startup story, you will be able to see how their CEO and founder Brian talk about how he started the business. When he first started the business, it's actually a room sharing experience he wanted to do. It's like he's just trying to find a roommate. But as things go, he noticed that there is a demand in situations when there is a hotel room all booked up in San Francisco. He noticed that it become a business. And at that time, he also need money too, right? And so he built up Airbnb. And then later on, he made Airbnb becoming instead of like a room, because he make it becoming a experience. All this process is being done by building simple prototypes by Brian and his team, review and keep getting user feedback. So in order to decide that they perfect along the way to find the perfect answer, once they find the perfect answer when they build, then they find.
Again, add something regarding this model. It's very similar. Actually, it's happening every day in Silicon Valley. So people have some idea, because they read a lot, they have so many input, they have some idea. They will sit down in a cafe, talk to the people, or maybe they have a prototype. When they win the discussion, win the interaction among different kinds of people, okay, they will see whether the idea works or not, and then they go back to their garage and then fix it again, and then talk to people again and again. I think this is very important. You have so many, you read a lot, you have so many input, but you need to have an output. You need to have some idea, deploy your idea, make a prototype, okay?
And when you are building, when you're renovating, there is one thing very important that people always forget. Success. We call metrics. Please do a spell check. A lot of the time when we are building, when we are doing the how, we forget. We as an engineers, we always forget the metrics, how we measure our success. How do we measure our success? So when you're doing the how, when you're deciding this, you have to already have certain type of metrics in place. For example,
milestones, right?
Milestone and metrics. Like for example, how do you define success of how many consumer or customers in like a certain period, let's say 1 week? How many customers you get engaged? That's the metrics. More importantly, how much money or how much revenue you bring in 1 month is another common metrics in your business that you should be able to put in place, right? Of course, it's depending on what kind of startup, in what kind of industry you are going to start your business in. The metrics will be slightly different with each other, but most of the cases, the number of customers that you can engage in a short period of time and the number of revenues that you can bring in in a relatively short period of time will give you a really clear picture of your metrics. Important as when you're doing these metrics, you know when you should do a pivot. With this in your hand, you'll be able to know when is the time to stop and what to change along the way. For example, when Amazon started business about 20 years ago, everybody know Amazon, right? They started the business, they want to create the biggest bookstore around the world. So how did they measure their success along the way? Is by how many customers actually come in to buy their products and how many books they sell. And along the way, because of all these matrix, and they will be able to get the feedback from the customers. Which one feedback that surprised Jeff Bezos the most is people coming to Amazon. The main purpose he noticed is not coming to buy books. The main purpose of customers going to Amazon books so they can make a decisions whether they buy that books or the product that Amazon is selling. It's very funny. This is just like what we said. When you're building a business along the way, as Dr. Lau just mentioned, you have to talk to a lot of people. And along the way, you'll be able to find something that you never thought of. When I build, if I'm Jeff Bezos, when I build Amazon, I'm going to build Amazon.com, right? I thought I was selling things. But at the end, no, I noticed the people coming in actually to read my review. Read the review that is not available. You go to a bookstore or you go to electronic shops, the only review that will give you is from the sales guy. Of course, he will say good thing about the product because the guy might make sales, right? You will not able to get the review of the real customer who used the product, who purchased the products. That is one of the major reasons that Amazon success. To draw a lot of people into that is their review. So Jeff Bezos spent a lot of time into that review system. So have the star points, all the things. And he never delete the review. There's once one of his executives asked him, hey, Jeff, should we delete the negative review so people will buy more product? And Jeff is saying, no, I'm not going to do that because I want the negative review staying there because people actually are coming here not to know how good the product is, but to know the all-around pictures of what the product looks like so they can make a decision. This is the success of our store.
Okay, just a remark. I know that most of you have a startup. You should be very passionate with your technology, with your company. So you will think, oh, my technology, my company will be the best in the world, best in the universe, whatever. But somehow, it may not make any money. So you have to listen to others. I think the best thing is, just what Raymond mentioned. You need to have need to have very good team members. The team member is not a yes man. He or she is to be a no man. Give you another idea, give you another thinking, and he or she is to be the market trend, very different from your view, and you got to listen to them. Because somehow it's not a failure to exit from your startup because you actually learn a lot. And take me as an example. My first startup, I failed. I lost a lot of money, even work for a fact, but somehow I learned a lot. Then I have my second startup. Okay.
And listening to your customer also as important as we just mentioned about the Amazon story. Another story is how Airbnb pivoted too. As we said, Airbnb started as a room sharing business. But since the Airbnb team later find out why people renting from Airbnb is not just because of Airbnb providing a cheaper alternative to get a room. Airbnb, if you use them, becoming a new experience from people. It becoming an experience that Marriott and Hyatt Regency and Shangri-La cannot provide it. That is how they find out and pivot themselves in a way into a experience company. It's about experiencing. You go to a new place, exciting place, to a hotel. A hotel is about the same everywhere, but to a personal house is different. You will be able to see and experience things. This is how Airbnb later on positions themselves and compete with the whole big hotel groups. That also brings up another point, which is how you can survive in a dogfight when you are in a business that is very competitive, like hotel. In a dogfight, when people like the taxi apps, as you know, right? And things like this. How you survive in a dogfight? Be a cat. When you're in a dogfight, try to pretend you're a cat. So you don't go head to head with the guy. There is a book called In a Dogfight, Be a Cat by a Columbia University professor. You can easily search his book on Amazon.com. Read that. He gives about 20 examples of in the world how the successful business like Airbnb positions themselves differently, even though they're in the same business, how they position themselves differently in order to get the so-called blue oceans of the market. Airbnb is a classic example. Amazon is also a classic example, right? Instead of being a bookstore, they're becoming a review, like for people. Things like this.
The floor has a question. How to research or react to review if you have a short period of time?
How do you, we have a question here is, how do you review?
We react to the review.
React to the review?
Yeah, in a very short period of time.
In a very short period of time. Actions. Take actions to them. Or by asking more questions. I like to, in my experience, I like to answer a question by asking more questions.
Yeah. I think if you are in the business, you should know how to answer, or you should know how to question. Because you are in the question, I'm sorry that your question is a bit weird to me. Because if you are in the startup, you are in the business, you should know what to answer and what to question. You're not coming to ask us because we are not in that business. But when we go back to our business, okay, we know how to proceed the questions.
A lot of the time when you get asked questions, in my experience, I think more than half of the time you actually understand the questions incorrectly. A lot of the time, because when Victor asks me a questions, have you eaten dinner yet? What is his purpose? You have to understand what is his purpose behind the questions. It's just a simple question. Have you eaten dinner yet? There is many possibilities, right?
Because I have no money, I want to ask him to pay.
Yeah, maybe you want me to buy him dinner.
Yeah.
Or he just like he doesn't want to talk to me, so ask a meaningless questions.
Yeah.
Or he actually want to introduce a beautiful girl to me that he met recently.
No.
Never happened. You don't know. So how you react to a questions, one way to react it is by asking another question. So you should understand what that question is behind. What's the meaning of the questions behind? All right. So let's say you have found the idea, and you have to do what we just said, the lean startup. The next thing is how you build your things and explore and grow. We will spend the last 5 minutes over here to talk about growth. But before we do that, I want to add one thing about how you find the ideas. That is the 3 I theory. What 3 I's? People talking about I as an innovation. I also stand as a integration. However, I think the most important I in a startup business to be successful is imaginations. Innovation, integration can be read, can be learned. Imaginations is what changed the world. How Steve Jobs changing the world? Because he imagined that there should be a phone that is easy to be used with no buttons. He didn't know what that is. He didn't know what that means. But I just need a phone that even a kindergarten student can use and pick up, a baby can use. This is his imagination. And then force his team to come up with the iPhone every day and night. There is a very famous video on that too. So I would like all the young people over here to remember this free eye theory. And the most important part is the imaginations.
I agree with Raymond, because when I talk to my students, I used to ask them, think crazy. Don't worry, just think out of the box. No matter how crazy it is, think about it. Talk to the people, listen to others. Maybe some of them will like your idea, and then go ahead and do it, make it happen, make a prototype.
When we were kids, parents teach you don't make daydream, right? But I think in the world that we are in today, I think dream is important.
So you folks are lucky because your generation, actually the environment is starting to encourage you to have a daydream.
And the information, because of the internet, is so easy to access now. Making new ideas come up every day, and new technologies available every day. 5G, blockchain, you name it. Of course, if you want to know more, you can read my articles.
Okay.
Weekly, I talk about that recently. Okay. Last but not least is how to grow your business. Where do I get money to grow my business? That's the most important thing, right? I need money to build. For startup, there is 3 ways you can get money. Usually, I'm not saying must be like this, but usually, either from friends is one way, from your
parents. Yeah.
Way.
The best way in Hong Kong.
The best way, we have a term for that, is bootstrap. Bootstrap means from your own savings. So instead of using the money to pay the down payment for an apartment so we can get married, you use that money to bootstrap to survive until you go into the next step, which we call, after you evaluate, as a prototype. Right? This is how usually it is. Another round, we usually call it A round or PA or whatever term you call that. We have 2 major sources. Major source, as I said again and again, it's only the major source of money. It's not the only way. It's from venture capital, VC. Or if your business has able to come up with enough cash flow in this initial stage, you can try to go to private equity as well to go for your money. Ultimately, most of the free outcomes after this round. 1, you go IPO, preparations, go public listed, and then you will be screwed by the shareholders every day and night until you die. The better way is by a merger and acquisitions. We call M&A, maybe merger and acquisitions. Maybe one of your partners' company or your competitors acquire you because you show certain value or fattening to their business. They will buy you. For example, one of the most famous M&A hackers. Can I have a couple more minutes? Maybe I can overtime a little bit. Is the Facebook acquisition of WhatsApp. You would think, why Facebook acquired WhatsApp? You know how much they paid? 16 billion US dollar. I don't even know what that means. 16 billion in Chinese is. What does that mean? I don't know.
好多錢，好多錢。
But why Facebook acquiring WhatsApp is because Facebook sees WhatsApp is frightening their survival in the long run. That's one way you can get acquisitions. The last outcome of your startup is fail. You have to expect that as an entrepreneur, for all the work that you have done in the past few years, 10 years, or even your whole life,
And
you should be ready for that.
Yeah.
I know it is Raymond, we should be talking about how we go IPO and acquisition and things like this. Why are you talking about failure? Because by statistics, 99.99% of the startup
failed
in the first 5 years. So preparing for that. But failure is not the end of your journey. It's actually see failure as the new beginning of a new journey. Never give up. Stay on track. Never give up. Even though you hit the wall, try again, and again. You look at all the successful stories today, you only look at the successful side. You didn't even know how much failure the founder has gone through. Starbucks, Amazon, recently, Alibaba, they all failed many times before they become successful from different business. So this is my last advice to our beloved students and young entrepreneurs here. Be prepared for that.
Don't fear for failure. I mean, failure is a 老生常談，失敗乃成功之母。But it is real. It is real. We can tell you, we failed before. We failed a lot before. But finally, we find what we are. We know our position, and then we proceed. Keep young in your heart. It's important.
Okay. So, again, my name is Raymond. You can find me on LinkedIn at any time. You can just search for Raymond Chan. You'll be able to find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to talk to me there. And Dr. Victor Lau.
I think my LinkedIn is Victor Lau or Victor. I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. Maybe you put your phone number here.
Okay.
Looking forward to any questions on the chat room? No? Oh, okay.
So should I build a thing that customer want but may not earn much money, or I think that investor want?
Why you're building that? You have to answer these questions first, right? So what is the purpose of you building that business? Is it to make money so you can get rich? Or is it because you want to change the world and help people? You have to ask, I want you to ask your questions.
Yeah.
Why
you need to be passionate on that. So even, so, okay, maybe your customer base at start is very small, but you are passionate on that. You think there's a reason behind, you have to, you got to, you need to build it. And then, yeah, go ahead. But, you know, just because some people talk to me, oh, Victor, I want something like this, or your parents talk to, just think about why you want to build it. If you're not passionate on it, I think this is important.
Okay, see, I just practice again. How you answer a question is by asking more questions.
Yeah. The example.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raymond and Victor. We have a very fruitful half an hour or 40 minutes before, and I received some of the comments from the floor that may not be very clearly seeing the whiteboard. If you are interested in the topic that Raymond just shared, you are more than welcome to look for Raymond and Victor in LinkedIn for more detailed discussion. So also the recordings will be ready in the auditorium for playback. Just in case if you are interested in the video, you can review it at your preference. So after the day 3 sharing on value proposition, I hope you are now more have a clear picture on what the business you are going to build. And just a few sharing on the information tomorrow. And tomorrow we are going to have a workshop called video production workshop. Edit simple step to edit a pitch video for your pitch. So if you're able to see the screen right now, to better prepare yourself for this pitch workshop, you are encouraged to download the application through the Android markets or the iOS App Store and download the materials to review in the workshop in the respective QR codes here. So if you're interested to join the workshop, please prepare yourself in the above slides. And once again, thank Raymond and Victor for the sharing today. And we hope to see you in the future workshop. Thank you very much.